Common West African crop broadleaf weeds. Africa's temperature, soil conditions, and available sunlight make it a highly desirable place to grow specific crops. Unfortunately, this also means that it is valued by weeds as well. The following broadleaf weeds impact tropical climate crops. You are likely to encounter at least a few of them during your work in agriculture. Keep in mind the weed, your crop, and your available resources as you review the weed details. Goatweed is native to the tropical climates of the Americas and highly invasive in other locales. Its life cycle is 2 months and it's an annual. It is a broadleaf, shallow roots. Reproduction, the seed is propagated. Dissemination, animals, tools, wind, machines, and clothes. Habitat, forest, woodland, developed or cultivated land such as roadsides, waste areas, crop fields, gardens, degraded land, neglected plots and pastures, riparian zones or water banks, and wetlands and coastal dunes. There are positives. It increases the fertility in soil, it is ornamental, and it's medicinal. Negatives: rapid reproduction. It's a disease vector. It decreases biodiversity, and it competes with crops for resources, lessening crop yield. Weed management, herbicides, frequent follow-up, weeding, and flooding of fields. Here's a list of the tropical climate crops impacted. Grains such as rice, millet, sorghum, and wheat. Okra, pineapple, groundnut, tea, coffee, cotton, taro, tomato, sugarcane, soybean, cassava, jute, banana, tobacco, and maize. Siam weed is native to Central and South America and highly invasive in other locales. It is a perennial. Its morphology: it is broadleaf, shallow roots with a taproot and root ball, a woody shrub. Reproduction: seed propagated, produces many. Animals disseminated, tools, wind, machines, and clothes. Habitat: forest, bushland, developed land such as roadsides and waste areas, neglected plots and pastures, and crop fields. Positives: it's ornamental. It can be used as green manure. It is a possible insecticide, and it reduces fallow time in crop rotation. Negatives: rapid reproduction, disease vector, decreases biodiversity, and it competes with crops for resources and lessens the crop yield. It is managed by herbicides, hand or machine weeding, including removal of taproot, and burning fields. The tropical climate crops impacted are rice, coconut, pineapple, rubber, tea, coffee, cotton, sugarcane, hemp, tobacco, cocoa, and the African oil palm. Waterleaf. Endemic to the Americas, waterleaf is classified as a weed, but also serves as an important food source in tropical climates. It is both an annual and a perennial. Its morphology is broadleaf, fibrous roots. It reproduces through seed and stem propagation. It is disseminated by animals, water, wind, an explosive mechanism. And its habitat: it is highly adaptable in many soil conditions. It occurs naturally on roadsides, in residential and commercial areas, and forest edges. Positives: medicinal. It can serve as rabbit feed. It is a nutritious and popular vegetable. It is used in manufacturing, and it's ornamental. Negatives: rapidly growing, highly efficient photosynthesizer, short life cycle, multiple methods of reproduction and dispersal, potential problems for those with gout, kidney disorders, or rheumatoid arthritis, and it acts as a disease vector. It is managed with herbicides, or hand or machine weeding with removal of the root system. However, it is resistant to pests and diseases. The crops impacted: any area can become overrun with waterleaf. The species is susceptible to bacterial wilt, cassava brown root scale, root knot nematode, and/or computer mosaic virus are at a particular risk. That is, potatoes, tomatoes, cassava, and cucumbers. Cedar weed originated in Central America. It is a highly invasive species in tropical areas around the world. It is a perennial shrub. It has a broadleaf woody shrub with deep, tough taproot. Is reproduced via seed, disseminates via animals, tools, vehicles, wind, shoes, clothes, and water. Habitat. Most soil types, especially those with distinct wet and dry seasons, riparian areas, degraded pastures, tree plantations, cereals, root crops, vegetables, planted forests, lawns, roadsides, and waste sites. Positives can be medicinal, livestock feed, some antimicrobial and antibacterial abilities, and it's a heavy metal indicator. Negatives: it reduces habit quality and suppresses other plant growth. It has prickly leaves and seed containers with awns that encourage dispersal. And that's shown over here. These things securely hook onto livestock coats, belongings, etc. It is a pest and disease vector, including habitat of the cassava mealybug, multiple methods of dispersal, rapidly growing, high seed production, high rate of seed germination, and toxic to some livestock. It is managed by herbicides, early intervention and avoidance, tillage including removal of the taproot, regular follow-up, and introduction of predators such as insects. The tropical climate crops impacted are onion, pineapple, legumes such as groundnut and cowpea, tea, coconut, coffee, sweet potato and cassava, grains such as rice and sorghum, grasses, sugarcane, tomato, maize, rubber, and cotton. Pigweed, sometimes known as spreading hogweed or red spiderling, is a low-lying creeping weed native to many African countries. It grows rapidly and can be found in most tropical climates. It can be a perennial or an annual. It has a broadleaf and taproot morphology, reproduces via rootstocks and seed, disseminates by clothing, footwear, possessions, animals, debris, and waste. Habitat: various soil types, waste places, roadsides near habitation, cultivated fields, clearings, and forests. Also succeeds in dry areas. Positives: medicinal and herbal, animal feed and forage, eaten as a vegetable in India and other regions. Negatives: aggressive growth, habitat generalist, it modifies the ecosystem, it lessens biodiversity, it is a host for significant crop pests, and it tolerates or benefits from drought and many control mechanisms. It has sticky flowers or fruits. They are extremely mobile and effective seed dispersal. It is managed by hand or machine weeding, crop rotation, tilling, regular follow-up, and herbicides. The climate crops impacted in tropical areas are onion, groundnut and cowpea, mustard, mora, tobacco, rice, millet, and wheat, maize, cassava, date palm, sugarcane, and tomato. Milkweed, sometimes called wild poinsettia, originated from tropical regions in North and South America. A fairly small plant, it gets its common name from the toxic milky white sap, which is latex, that exudes from all plant parts. It is an annual. It is a broadleaf. It reproduces via seed, and it disseminates via explosive, via water, agricultural produce, animals, vehicles, and tools. Its habitat is cultivated gardens and fields, roadsides, waste areas, and riparian banks. Its positives are medicinal, young leaves are eaten as a vegetable, and it is ornamental. Its negatives are rapid and aggressive growth. It's a strong competitor for light and nutrients. It is poisonous to mammals. It can be irritating to the skin. It is a host to crop pests such as whitefly and other disease vectors. Its roots produce chemicals that slow the growth of other plants, allelopathy. Management: herbicides, but milkweed has developed resistance to some herbicides. Agricultural hygiene and sanitation, Hand weeding and slashing with frequent follow-ups and maintaining mulch prevents seedling growth. Tropical climate crops impacted are onion, groundnut, soybean, cotton, sugarcane, tomato, cowpea, and maize. Coat buttons, or Tridax daisy, is a widespread weed. Native to Mexico and South America, it has spread globally throughout tropical and neotropical climates. Its life cycle, annual or short-lived perennial. Its morphology, broadleaf with taproot. It reproduces via seed and vegetative. It is disseminated via wind, trade, humans, tools, and vehicles. It is adapted to survive in most environments, particularly coarse soils and tropical climates, found in cultivated and fallow land, waste areas, crop fields, and by roadsides. Positives: it can be used as animal feed. It is used to create essential oils. It can be used as a pesticide, and it is medicinal. Negatives: high seed production up to 2,500 seeds per plant. Highly effective and mobile seeds using winged achenes, and that's shown right over here. Those are seed containers that do not open for dispersal. Multiple methods of reproduction. A host of crop pests, including root knot nematode. Weed management can be fairly well controlled by cultivation, hand and/or machine weeding, and herbicides. Most crops have the potential to be infested by coat buttons, particularly irrigated crops. And here's a list of the tropical climate crops that are impacted: hemp, jute, cotton, cashews, pineapple, peppers, coffee and tea, African oil palm, rubber, mango, cassava, yam, and sweet potato. Second column: tomato, sorghum, rice, wheat, cocoa, legumes such as groundnut, soybean, and cowpea, maize. Third column: banana, tobacco, avocado, guava, sugarcane, and sesame. Native to Asia and Africa, witchweed can vary in color. Most West African varieties have red flowers. Witchweed is a parasitic plant. It uses its rudimentary roots to take nutrients and water directly from those plants. Its life cycle is annual. It is a broadleaf herb, parasitic roots. It reproduces via seeds, and it disseminates via wind, water, animal, machines, tools, vehicles, and soil. It is relatively dry, infertile, even sandy soil-conditioned habitats, generally semi-arid topics. Its positives are medicinal. Negatives: highly adaptable, parasitic. Mobile seeds are viable for up to 1 year. It has an effective seed distribution by pod following flower death, and it has significant reproductive potential. It is managed through proper agricultural hygiene and sanitation methods, intercropping and push-pull methods, creation of inhospitable environments for witchweed by planting crops requiring fertilization and irrigation, herbicides, using crop strains resistant to parasitic witchweed, such as some varieties of sorghum, hand weeding and hoeing with removal of roots connected to other plants. Tropical climate crops impacted: millet, rice, and sorghum, sugarcane, maize, and various grasses. And this picture to the lower right here, here's the witchweed hooking right into a crop root to take water from it. Dayflower, also known as tropical spiderwort and endemic to Africa, the dayflower impacts a wide range of crops throughout the world's tropical and neotropical climates. Dayflower is a perennial or annual. It is a broadleaf creeping herb, produces stolons, 3 types of branches: aerial, subaerial, and underground, and both male and hermaphroditic flowers. It reproduces via seeds and vegetative. It disseminates via aerial and subterranean seeds and stolons. It is a habit generalist, found in various soil types and moisture levels on cultivated and uncultivated land. Its positives are medicinal and livestock feed. Its negatives are its multiple methods of reproduction. It is a host for disease pathogens such as root knot nematode and groundnut mosaic virus. It slows, stunts, or lessens crop growth and yield, especially in the early weeks of a plant's growth. Its roots, stolons, rhizomes, and nodes can create dense mats that suppress other plant growth, and it grows rapidly. Weed management, hand hoeing and weeding, ensuring removal of all roots and underground flowers. Right over here, it's showing the roots. Dry plants to ensure that the stems or roots do not propagate. Herbicide, slashing, scheduling sowing to ensure that plants will be more than a month old when dayflower grows, and planting crops that will smother the dayflower as quickly as possible. Tropical climate crops impacted: pineapple, citrus trees, fruits such as pineapple, apricot, peach, and banana, coffee, tea, legumes such as soybean, groundnut, and mung bean, grains such as sorghum, rice, and barley, rubber, sweet potato, and cassava, bitter gourd, sugarcane, tomato, cotton, and maize.